YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here. I'm going to bring you some Vermintide action. This is going to be Skaven versus Lizardmen, and we are going to be trying an army I've never tried before. This is going to be a Rat Ogre Bonebreaker. I've got one Storm Vermin with Sword and Shield, some just basically clan rats and Skaven slaves in the center, and then I have 5 Skaven slave spears, a couple of Poison Wind Globadiers, and 2 Warp Lightning Cannons, which are going to give me the anti-large that I need. And for my leadership, I've got an Assassin and a Grey Seer of, I believe it's Ruin? Maybe Plague. I can't remember. And then the 2 Rat Ogres. So my army is defensive. I was expecting the Lizardmen to come heavy on large units. And indeed, they brought Bastiladons with solar engines. He's got 2 of them, and then a Bastiladon with a Revivification Crystal, as well as Kroq-Gar on Grimlock. He even has a couple of Temple Guards, so he's got a few very good units, and then just a couple of filler units. And these solar engines would be a big problem had I not brought something like the Warp Lightning Cannon, but Warp Lightning Cannons are very good versus large armored targets. And he is not going to want to stand off with me from a distance like this. He'll do a little bit of damage to a couple of my units, but nothing significant over the long run. You see the Warp Lightning is really going to put a beating on his guy fast. It doesn't start off with massive damage, but let's watch what happens. Over here, I'm trying to get rid of some Chameleon Skinks, so we chased them out. Did some pretty good damage to him. Let's watch another volley on that Warp Lightning Cannon. Boom. The damage is starting to mount. He's almost down to half already, and sure, he's damaging my Storm Vermin. The Storm Vermin aren't going to matter much if he loses his dinosaurs, and that's really the purpose of this army. So what he's got to do is he's got to get his dinosaurs through my front line, through my leadership, to try and get to the Poison Wind Globadiers, because they're going to do the damage, and then my Rat Ogres can help against his infantry or against his large units as needed, preferably against his infantry. But you can see again the Warp Lightning Cannon is putting a pretty thick beating down here. And of course my Grey Seer can summon Plague Monks, which is definitely in my playbook right now to help out. So I'm going to steer clear of the Temple Guard with the Rat Ogres, and I'm going to run for the Saurus Warriors, because they won't be able to protect themselves as well against the Rat Ogres. Then the Poison Wind Globadiers immediately pick up on Kroq-Gar, and then I'm going to hit him with my Rat Ogre and my Assassin. Basically everything I got. Skaven Slave Spears. We're going to go for an overwhelming hit on Kroq-Gar, and that's actually what happens. You can see his leadership just tanks. And on this flank, I'm in bad shape, but it's going to take these Temple Guard a while, so I spawn a Plague Monk behind him. Plague Monk in front, Plague Monk behind. Not going to win, but it'll keep him busy. Kroq-Gar's forced away momentarily. This allows my leadership a chance to do some work. So my Warlord out there, and then again my cannons dispatched one of his solar engines, and now we're going to start working on another solar engine. His Revivification Crystal would also be a good target, but I want these solar engines dead so they can't start sniping my Lord or something. Kroq-Gar will be back momentarily. You can see I'm actually doing some pretty decent damage, all things considered. He's going to bring in his Revivification Crystal. It's going to come into combat. But at this point, I mean, he is getting wrecked. He can't get to my cannons. They're way back here in a defensive position. And the Poison Wind Globadiers are pouring it on thick. So, despite the armor, and usually that's one of the problems with Bastiladons, is they're very well armored. Stuff like Poison Wind Globadiers, anti-large, anti-armor, not going to be pretty. So you can see just how quickly they can nuke a dinosaur. Now right here, I thought he was going to get through my line. Kroq-Gar charges, but then he stops. And I'm able to start bringing over more, like my Warlord and everything. But at this point, writing's pretty much on the wall. He's got no answer to my Warp Lightning Cannons. They forced out his Bastiladons, and then Kroq-Gar and the other Bastiladon died to the Poison Wind Globadiers. So now it's really just a mop-up of his Temple Guards, which 1-to-1 are much better than any of the infantry I have, but they're really going to be best in an anti-large role, but I didn't give them any large targets. You can see the Rat Ogres, again, helped focus down Saurus Warriors so that they get swamped with units where they can't win. So just using numbers here, very much like you would expect Skaven to do. And my Warlord just kind of chilling here. One of his Bastiladons came back, but at this point I'm trying to finish off his Saurus Warriors because we're about to cause a chain rout. And there it is. So it ends up being a victory for us. So yeah, fun battle. Ended up being a victory. Let's go show you another battle I played today as well. Yeah, I'll do it because this would have been a real short video otherwise. Let's go show you another video that I played today. It was going to be... yeah, this one right here. So the Dawi versus Greenskin Grudge. This guy told me it was his first ever match on Warhammer 2. And I guess the technicality behind that is that it was his first time on Warhammer 2. So he was misleading me just a bit into thinking that he was a complete noob. And I guess he is on Warhammer 2, but honestly, if you've played Warhammer 1, you're going to be able to jump right into Warhammer 2. Very little has changed in terms of these other ones. So I picked the Dwarves, thinking, you know, this will be an easy faction for him to kind of come against because Dwarves have a lot of weaknesses, and sure enough, this was not this guy's first time around the block. He has a giant Goblin army spread out all over the place, filled with archers so he can kite me, and yeah, and then a Gobbo Shaman on his wolf so I can't catch him, and then a rock lobber in the back. So like I said, this is not this guy's first time around the block against the Dwarves. And I brought an army that was kind of expecting a newer person to want to go head-to-head in fighting, and so that's what I brought here. So, yeah. I was going to bring some more long-range stuff, but decided not to because, again, thought my opponent was new and didn't want to just sit back and camp him, so I brought an aggressive army, and then sure enough, my opponent brought a kite army. And here I am, so it's going to be interesting. We'll see whether I can win. It is possible, albeit not likely, because everywhere I get stopped to fight, it's not really going to be good for me, and my opponent's got a crap load of squigs and other light cavalry coming out of the woods now too, so these rangers with great weapons were really meant expecting someone to bring monsters or larger cavalry units. The light cavalry they're actually not any good against. They can't really kill it, and they're not really useful against it, so it's just going to create all kinds of problems. He's going to drop a Curse of the Bad Moon here. I'm just going to move my guys on out of that to try and minimize the damage. So at first, I'm going to just pull ahead. I couldn't see all of his units, so I didn't know if he had like a infantry body hiding up here, so you're going to see me just plow right on through, and he's just going to keep kiting back and keep kiting back here. So, yep, there he goes. And now he's going to charge in with squigs, because I have a few units that are singled out, so he's going to mob them with squigs. It's tempting to turn around and just go try and pin down the squigs, but I was a little too far away. So out here on the flanks, I didn't end up causing too much damage, but I'm going to go ahead and push forward, kill his rock lobber, and try and take up position on this hill and see what we can do. But it's going to be a tough battle because even my Slayers, which are going to be quite good against this stuff, Slayers, when they get cycle charged, they die fast, and they also die to archers. So I'm in a whole world of hurt here because he outranges me, and I can't catch his units except with my Slayers, but if I single out my Slayers, they'll get charged down by squigs, repeated cycle charged, and killed. So between the archers and that, so this is one of the weaknesses of Dwarves, is that they have no mobility. So if you don't bring a range component to counter your opponent's range component, then you're gonna die. They can kite you all day long. My only hope here is that my leadership might be able to tank him out in the end if he runs out of ammo, which occasionally happens. So I need to kill his lord, which is going to be difficult because his lord is faster than me. So yeah, if I can't kill his lord, I'm going to be in some pretty real trouble here. I'm trying to focus out a few of his units that are up here, kill as many of his units as I can, so that way the power bar doesn't go too far against me. It's at this point where I obviously wish that I didn't have any hammerers, because again, I was expecting a more straightforward fight and not something like this. Yeah, here comes all those squig herds. Watch what happens to Slayers. So when they get charged, again, they're going to get charged in the back. I'll turn around, but just watch how fast Slayers die to these cavalry charges. So Slayers are much better against cavalry and they're cheaper, but whenever they get mass charged like this, look at them, they just completely disintegrate. And then they get shot in the back a little bit here. So Slayers are useless, really, against this blob unless I can get them pinned down. And over here, I just have to sit here and take archer fire. There's absolutely nothing I can do. He's got mangy marauders, deaf creepers, spider riders. I'm getting poisoned, so whenever I do get in combat, my guys aren't as effective. So it's just kind of a crapshoot at this point, and I'll just fast forward and kind of show you all what happens here. It ends up being closer than you would think. It may look pretty bad for me at the moment, but the dwarf units are pound for pound just way better. And over here, I finally do get some work done on his squigs, beat him up pretty bad, but again, I just don't have enough Slayers left. And look right here, my Slayers lost their movement order and just got shot in the face repeatedly here. That was annoying. Squig's going to come back in. And my leadership is going to beat the living snot out of his guys for a long while, but he's got plenty of ammo left. See, look at that, almost full ammo. He's still got ammo back here on the Deaf Creepers. He's got ammo over here. His Rusty Errors have ammo left, so I mean, he definitely has the ammo. The only way I'm going to win here is if I get a chain round. Now, his Lord did join a big brawl a minute ago, and he died. But even with his Lord dead, the numbers are so in his favor. Like, I've only got 2 guys left on the battlefield to his 700. I just can't get the power bar to swing, and despite repeated use of Smoke Bomb and the Tormentor Sword, Flash Bomb, whatever you want to call it, even with the Flash Bomb, I just can't get a mass route started. So I can't swipe or switch the power bar, which means that over time, as my heroes lose their hit points, despite putting up a valiant effort here in the end, I won't be able to pull it off. It's just going to be too much because of the ammo he has. And then again, it's poisoning my guys whenever they're in combat, which takes away a lot of their weapon damage. Again, Tormentor Sword locks his guys in place for a minute, lets me get a few hits. And these dwarf leaders were getting chucked around by Spider Riders. Even Spider Riders were throwing them around, so it makes it difficult. Yeah, you can see there. I'm going to end up getting wrapped up here. It ends up in the end being relatively close. He still had a lot of units left, but it was a valiant defeat because my leadership did beat down a significant portion of his army in the end. So, I mean, a lot of his, like his Lord was dead, a lot of his units were beaten up. But honestly, I mean, this, and this is no offense to this guy, he caught me off guard, but I was a little frustrated because normally I would have probably brought some Quarrelers or Thunderers or something that would have done better from range, and just 2 Quarrelers would have absolutely crapped on his archers. And if I wouldn't have spent so much money on this anti-monster stuff, this would have easily been shut down by a different build. So, like, for instance, I'll show you the army that I was about to bring. So again, I picked that one because I was trying to do something that was relatively simple for a new player. And I'm not, you know, again, kudos to my opponent. He played a good army, and I was kind of teasing him in the chat. I was like, hey, this wasn't your first time around the block, buddy. I can tell this wasn't something you just thought up, you know, on the up and up. Where was it at? Custom battle. And it was a clever army for trying to take out dwarves. But like I said, I was just about to pick this army here. Where was it? Dwarves. I think it was this one. I was about to pick this army, which wouldn't have been great, but a couple of Slayers to guard my Rock Lobber and Cannon would have shut his crap down fast, and then the Rangers, the other army that I was considering. So I mean, if you look at my dwarf armies, like I picked the one dwarf army that his army had a chance against, was kind of the thing. So if I load up my other dwarf army, I'll kind of show you what I have here. This one, I think it was this. No, sorry, that was Dark Elves, my bad. Loaded up. Where'd it go? Dwarves. Yeah, I picked the Grombrindle Rush, which is like the only one he would have had a chance again. This was the other one, too. This one probably wouldn't have been good because I wouldn't have had enough defense against his light cavalry. So this one would have gotten wrecked, too. But yeah, the other one I showed you would have been a pretty decent one. But, I mean, his army there, what's dangerous for it, like there he kind of expected me to take... I took an aggressive rush. If I hadn't taken aggressive rush, and like I said, come with something like the all around with Artie or something like this, I mean, the Iron Drakes wouldn't have been ideal. They would have been pretty useless, but I don't know, a Goblobber, man. If I would have sat there and protected that thing, it could have done tremendous damage to his archers, and they wouldn't have been able to get close enough to do a whole lot about these Rangers. And then we could have positioned Slayers in the back and kind of made a little defensive geometry. And he would have been in some pretty big doo-doo with that going on. Now, granted, my Lord wouldn't have been as strong, but yeah, this thing does horrible damage to leadership on Goblins. Now, granted, if I boxed up, he had the Curse of the Bad Moon, and that could do it could do some pretty heinous damage if you get it in the wrong spot, so that would have been the risk with that. But at the same time, these long range plus the artillery, it would have made pretty short work of his archers, which means that in time it probably would have been short work of his army because he didn't really have anything to counter something like Longbeards. So would have been interesting, but interesting army, fun battle, appreciate it from him, but I wanted to show you all that one. There's a little bit of both sides from today, one success and one not success. Appreciate both players who played against me, and appreciate those who view the videos and then play against me. They're awesome. And then Scary Nerd guy. I'm not saying bad things about him. Scary Nerd was great. It was fun. He part of strategy, right? Told me it was his first time, and I fell for it rather than coming prepared. So kudos to him. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for watching the videos, guys. Appreciate MSI. I'll see you on another episode soon.